Welcome back to the Unexpected Podcast. My name is Justin Mahwikizi, and today's guest is Mr. Zhou, who is an expert and has written considerably about the China and Taiwan issue, but in a very balanced way, which is why we wanted to bring him on our podcast to explore these issues further, not just for the American audience, but also for the global audience. Mr. Zhou, welcome.
No, thank you so much. Thank you for trusting, and thank you for everyone's here. Yeah.
Thank you. No, what I really appreciate about the recent article you had published is that it avoids the typical theater that, depending on which side you're in on the issue, they usually play. So you provided a well-balanced a way to look at the current issues, whether it's on the bureaucratic side, the upcoming transitions, incentives, and military consequences. And timetables. So before we discuss Taiwan or 2027, can you tell us your own intellectual path? What drew you to studying Chinese politics, governance, and the issues specifically?
Yeah, no problem. So first, I want to mention that now a lot of students study the Chinese politics in the United States is much bigger. The population is much bigger. Larger than before, because many of them not the political, the major in political science. They are not. Most of them, like me, in my bachelor degree is about the public administration. In China, if you want to do the public administration, is very different from the other countries because the China is a party state system. The administration is a party, especially after Xi holds the power. Before the Deng's reform, we have the party separate from the government. They try to do that, even though that's not very successful. But they do have such experiences. But after Xi, we don't have very clear boundary between the party and state. So my bachelor degree, making the research about the Chinese government administration. But in the process, you will discover very interesting, like we have to research how to make the stability maintenance in the the protest or something like that. You know what I mean? So this is something very politics. This is something very politics. So and also my bachelor, their course structure, they do have something related to the Chinese politics, international relations, political science research or something like that. So after I went to US, the course system is about my first master degree is about the Asia studies. So, in the Asia study course, you have many choices. You can make the literature, you can make the movie studies, but that is not
really
interesting. Yeah, because they do have different system. Some universities, they have the East Asia literature and civilization studies, and they have an East Asia study about the social science, but Asia study in the international relations school. So I do research about Chinese politics. My first professor in U.S. is David Shambo. He also very famous in China studies. But I'm fresh man, in U.S. So I'm not very doing very well in his course at first semester. So after that, I'm gradually know the U.S. materials because it's very different. Something I read in China and something I read in the United States.
Yes.
So they're opposite. So
that's right.
It should be a time to know that. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely, and it's very prescient in this time in geopolitics. Plenty of tensions and a lot of ramifications across. And so I'm very glad you're here because I have many questions because you have more of an expertise than I do and our audience does. So, but if we can start with, for listeners who are new to this topic, when people hear Taiwan issue, what does that phrase actually encompass?
A lot of people listen about Taiwan issue where I was thinking about the, like the democracy and autocracy issue. This is what they want to know because Taiwan is a democracy state. or in the U.S. Official side, it's not a country, but it's a democracy state. And China is we do have the autocracy or authoritarianism or something like that, party state system. Some people will think, okay, this is about the democracy and autocracies. And also, this is what the Taiwan, now the ruling party, try to transfer the reunification issue to the democracy against the autocracy issue. This is what they want, but U.S. never did that. U.S. said, okay, we hope the Taiwan Strait issue could be solved, but the consequences should be accepted by both street people, both sides street people. So the U.S. do not take the cards from the Taiwan about autocracy against democracy or something like that. And the second is from, some people listen to about this is about like cheap and industry, high technology right now. Because we know that Taiwan is the world's central research about the high AI chip, recent years.
Yes.
Like NVIDIA, they said, okay, if any countries hold the chip and the AI integrated to their governance system, the GDP will have the 5 times bigger than now. So, so AI competition, and even in the Washington D.C., there are a lot of talk, especially in the Congress. They don't want China override the U.S. in the high tech issue. So this is what we facing right now. The third, maybe some people concerning about historical things. Like, it's amazing because now the DPP make the very how do I say that? It's very successful propaganda to this world. Is Taiwan, is Taiwan, China is China, but in their constitution, they are same country, even in Taiwan's constitution.
Really?
They are
I did not know that.
Countries, their country's name, they do have the constitution. They have their whole government system. They have the constitution, because now Taiwan's government is a Republic of China withdraw from the mainland to Taiwan. This is historical side. So they kept their constitution in China. And even though they make some amendments, but overall, that is a constitution about unified China. So in their constitution, they said, before the country's unification, pay attention, this is the Taiwan's constitution. Before the country's unification, what we should do, blah, 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 something like that.
I see.
I think this is 3 domains. The first is geopolitics. The second, is we know geopolitics or ideology part. This is first. The second is high-tech competition between U.S. and China. Third is a historical issue, how to solve this problem. Because why China want to push the reunification? We know some of them reason maybe is realistic reason, like, okay, we can get a high-tech industry, we can get economic beneficial, but the most important reason is Chinese. Why I talk about historical? Because Chinese side, we have the Great Unification Series thought, which means, okay, China must achieve the one country statue. We don't want our country divided as different parts. This is how what happened in just past 2,000 years. So I think this part is very historical part, but maybe some people said is force is about economic, but I think the economic may be related to the geopolitics. So I will put
all linked for
I will put the economic on the geopolitics part. So I think this is 3 domains issue. Yeah.
That's very insightful. Can you explain to us, there's 3 principles, or 3-ish core sayings in the China-Taiwan issue that, if you can help us define it so we can fully understand the context. One is the One China principle. The second is the One China policy. And then the third is called strategic ambiguity. You mentioned those in your article. Can you explain those 3 pillars and how they're linked together to this issue?
Yes, no problem. First, we know it's one China principles. This is something held by Chinese governments, and they are selling this to all over the world. Because if you want to build a formal, official diplomatic relation with Chinese government, you have to at least you must have the one China policy. Some countries have the one China principle is Taiwan issue. They have three sentences. The first is there are only one China in this world. Why they have such sentence? As I said, the Taiwan issue is the Taiwan they had to have their constitution is they are Republic of China, right? So we got the PRC, People's Republic of China. So you can see they have two China. So the first sentence of the one China principles is there are only one China in this world. The second sentence is Taiwan is part of China. Third is the People's Republic of China is only one official Chinese government.
Gotcha.
So this is one China principles. But this is, a different country have so let's transfer to the one China policy. But different countries have different attitude to this sentence. Like the U.S. The U.S. official statement is U.S. recognized. We have the one China principles. We recognize China has these wheels. This is what U.S. said. We recognized, but like the Japan, in their official statement, Japan said we recognize and understand China has this wheel. So this is very, very different. So Japan's go farther than the United States, to be honest. So this is why Prime Minister Takaichi see the Taiwan Strait issues of China very angry about this. Maybe this is one of the reasons, So one China principles means, you must accept the Taiwan Strait issue and reunification of China is a process of the Chinese domestic issue.
I see.
This is a Chinese civil issue, domestic issue. It depends on how Chinese people deal with this. Chinese people in Taiwan, Chinese people in mainland to deal with this. But one China policy is held by most of Western countries, or we can see the capitalism country. What is one China policy? Is there are only one Chinese people in the Chinese government in the world is PRC, and Taiwan is part of the China. But most of the countries recognize one China policy. You cannot have the formal diplomatic relation with Taiwan. If you want to build a formal diplomatic relation with Taiwan, the China will cut off a relationship with you, because they cannot tolerate two sides together. So most of the Western countries hold a one China policy. So this is the reason why Taiwan in the international stage was contending by Chinese people, because China holds a one China policy. Taiwan, even though they don't finish the unification, was contending. No problem. Was contended by Chinese government. So, but now the Chinese government is, they said the U.S. is trying to dig the hole under the one China policy, because U.S. said, we have one China policy, we follow that, but the U.S. keeping, with the Taiwan, the officers, the congresswomen, keeping with the Taiwan.
Yes.
The China said, you are selling a lot of weapons. So, there are three reporters when they build a formal diplomatic relations. So the China said, you should follow this, as they do have the legal effect for your countries. So now it's hard to define this, because let's transfer the third. What is strategic ambiguity?
Yes.
So very important. Why U.S. has a strategic ambiguity? Because if you said, if you stay very clear to Taiwan Strait issue, if the China invasion of Taiwan, we will protect Taiwan. Sure, absolutely. So the Taiwan will get a chance to get independence. let's get independence. No problem. The U.S. will protect us. Okay. So there of course a war between U.S. and China. It do have the possibility because if the U.S. said that, and after the war began, the U.S. never sent the military to Taiwan Strait. It will have a very negative influence to the U.S. promise. You know what
Absolutely.
I mean? Yeah. So, but for the China, if you said, okay, I will protect Taiwan, absolutely, the Chinese government may be very disappointed about this. This is very serious negative effect to the U.S.-China relation. Absolutely. So it will cause a war. So this is very clear. They want to keep the strategic ambiguity, but the key problem is what happened in the Joe Biden administration. You know, Joe Biden was received, I don't remember how many of that, some interviews by the U.S. media. And like one time, two times, he said, okay, surely, we absolutely, we will send the military to protect Taiwan.
Yeah.
This is, of course, something negative effect. But, you know, after that, the White House come out very clearly, okay, we have one China policy to help Joe Biden to explain this whole issue. So,
I remember
the reason why.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, keep going.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna say I remember that episode, and not too far after that or before that, Nancy Pelosi also visited Taiwan, and that caused a lot of strain. So that whole administration had a lot of tension on that issue for sure. But in your article, you cautioned against treating 2027 as a simplistic invasion deadline. Can you explain what 2027 means as a benchmark in this whole context?
Yeah, this is something was mentioned by the Joe Biden administration. They have intelligence said from the state. I remember it should be from the State Department said, okay, the Chinese President Xi gave an order that before the 2027, the POA should prepare to invasion Taiwan. At least they should have the capability to get Taiwan back in the military domains. You know, recent years, the China get great leap in their military industries. You know, we have the new the POA to have the new airplanes or something like that. But we have new progress recently. During the Trump administration, you know, the intelligence chief recently in the Congress, she said the China do not have the plan in 2027 to invasion of Taiwan, and China is trying to push the peaceful reunification process. And we can see just a few days ago, the KMT's chair was meet President Xi in the Beijing.
Yes.
And but you know,
that was significant though, right? That because it had been so long before another representative of either leading parties visiting Beijing and try to build relations.
This is about the 10 years ago because DPP never meets with the Chinese officers because DPP holds Taiwan independence ideology. You know, like you said, the Nancy Pelosi's visit is absolutely very, you know, stupid things I ever seen in the geopolitics because they have the middle line before she's visit. There is a middle line in Taiwan Strait. Okay, in the both sides, Taiwan's here, China's here. China's military airplane cannot cross the middle side, and Taiwan cannot cross the middle side. But after that, we know that China's gray zone actions continue doing that until today. You know, the China, you know, make the military jokes sometimes, especially when the DPP leader says something, make the Chinese government unhappy about that. So that's this is very stupid behavior. But you know, in some ways, this push the unification process absolutely because China holds the military executes to do something.
Okay.
You know,
and for the audience, the KMT and the DPP within the Taiwanese politics, the DPP is more of a separatist type of ideology, and the DPP has more of a rapprochement
KMT
type of mentality. Yes.
Yeah. This is now Taiwan's domestic politics is something changing right now because do have three major parties.
Okay.
They have very a lot of parties, but three major parties. We have new TPP, Taiwanese People's Party,
Okay.
was leader by one of the politician within Taiwan's Cohen, but he is going to prison right now. He is going to jail right now because of the DPP government said his corruption during
Yeah.
the his term in the mayor of Taipei.
Mm,
We don't know what's going on, but this is what the court said to him. He
right.
was charged about 20 years jail. So,
Wow.
but anyway, even though he was charged guilty, but his party is still there. They have sport reach. They have three different you know perspectives within Taiwan's politics right now. The first is DPP. As you know, is a ruling party, is separatist, is trying to separate Taiwan from China, and DPP now they have very different methods. Because if they said we want to build a Republic of Taiwan, that's absolutely forbidden by U.S. and China, both sides. Because U.S. have one China policy, China have the law to deal with this. So they now said we are the Republic of China and Taiwan. They use Taiwan after Republic of China. We are the Republic of China and Taiwan. And like the chair of the DPP and also the president of Taiwan, Lai Ching-te, he ever said, okay, some people suggest him, okay, I think that like the U.S. side we have seen consider this, okay, Taiwan Street Peace is much bigger than others.
Hmm.
So how about give up your party's constitution, some content about Taiwan independence part? Their party's constitution with some content about we should achieve the Taiwan's independence or something like that.
Right.
So maybe you have the turno to have a conversation about with the mainland China and the CCP. But the Lai Ching-te said, okay, we do have some people within Taiwan support Taiwan independence. We have the party constitution second. So
Mm,
that is not something we have the party's constitution first. We have the Taiwan independence ideology second. This upside.
yeah.
This is
Yeah.
what his VP said to the others. The KMT before the Tsai Ing-wen as the president of Taiwan, the KMT is a party, especially like the president of the Mahwikizi Zhou, the KMT president.
Okay.
He's trying to push the conversation and the cooperation with the mainland before the Tsai and like the 2016, to 2024. Before this period, the KMT, the party held the viewpoint, okay, we need to gradually push the reunification. But recent years, KMT is not. KMT now holds the main viewpoint is we should cooperate with mainland China. We should push the peace process. We don't want a war, but we don't want very soon unification. You know what I mean?
I
It's
see. So they're
very
pushing more for
great.
diplomatic discussions rather than
Yeah.
increasing tensions.
Yeah. For achieve this, we should have the like 92 consensus is one China structure. Okay, we have such code. We can have a conversation with mainland China, but the TPP was supported by many Taiwanese young people. Especially 20s, 10s. The
Yeah.
reason why these people also many of them doesn't want to unification with China too. But why they don't support DPP? Because first, the DPP government is very corporation, like the corruption. They think the government is a little bit corruption. They're not doing a very good job in domestic issue, like the nuclear, like nuclear, like environment protection and like electricity, energy, or something like that. This is first corruption issue. The second is they think, okay, if DPP continue like this, with China gradually become more powerful, they do have high risky to war with China. They don't want to war, especially for these young people. So what we can see in Ukraine, in Iran.
Yeah.
So this is not the ones, and also the Chinese cultural influence in this Taiwanese young people is very clear. They play the mainland China's game, use their application to watch TV shows,
Really?
and yeah, in this application, they communicate with like the Xiaohongshu, the rain note. Many of the Taiwanese people also use that and communicate with the mainland people. So gradually, these people doesn't hate China. They say, okay, even though we don't want to renew unification because you are autocracy system, we have achieved the democracy. Even though we don't want unification because we don't want to become second Hong Kong. But we are same, at least in the constitution, we are the same country. We should cooperate. We should achieve the national Chinese national rejuvenation all together, like something like that. We should doing our job according to the Taiwan's constitution, the Republic of China's constitution. So Taiwan independence is a dream we never achieved. That is not realist, something real. So this is TPP part. So we can see the 2024 president election consequences. We get this map. The DPP get 40% support. The KMT is 33%, and TPP is 26%. And most of the people support TPP is the Youngs and KMT and DPP. So this is what Taiwan is domestic issue right now.
Yeah, no, I think, thank you for that summary. I think it's very insightful, specifically on a long-term basis, right? The new young generation seems to have a differing opinion or a perspective than the older generation in Taiwan. And so how either side of this issue manages it is important for the future implications. Now, you mentioned Iran here, and how the Hormuz Strait has been closed, and the oil economy has essentially been embattled. What has been the impact of China and Taiwan relations as these issues have been happening? Because they're both suffering from a halt in their supply chain from an oil perspective, and they both need energy. Taiwan for the semiconductor industry plus their population,
Absolutely.
as well as China as well.
Yeah, I think the Iran issue is main effect because what happened in Iran is before Trump's visit to China. The Iran issue is very important right now because this is something happened before the Trump visit China. But some people recently in Washington, D.C., because I remember it's O'Brien is first Trump administration, he was served as the national security advisor. I remember O'Brien, he in the Global Taiwan Institute, he said, okay, we don't have the great progress in Xi's and Trump's visit, Chinese visit, but we don't know the consequences. I know the China will demand the U.S. to do some promise in Taiwan Strait issue. It's very long. This is a long story because during San Francisco meeting between the Xi and Joe Biden,
Correct.
the Xi ever asked Joe Biden for, I remember it's 2 or 3 requirements about the Taiwan Strait. First, the United States should reduce the weapons supply to Taiwan gradually reduce. The second is U.S. should support the China's peaceful reunification progress.
Okay.
But the Joe Biden never replied that he doesn't elect as a president again. So this is the end of the game. But I believe in the Trump's visit, China will demand this again. So now how we judge this is a balance issue. The Strait of the Hormuz, the recent days, the Trump's comments on the NATO allies, Italian, you never help us, and the Pope, you are keeping criticize us, and the NATO country never help us. We should win this, but because of the lack of the NATO allies, we don't do that So now we're trapped in Iran. So how should I deal with that? So, but we get a message is the Chinese government push Iran to the table of the negotiation. So in the Trump side, we know his characteristics. Maybe okay, the Japan never help us, South Korea never help us, the NATO, Europeans never help us. Okay, Chinese people help us now. Push the Iranian to the table to negotiate with us. So I know the Chinese government. I know like the Venezuela and Cuba. We know the story. Trump is trying to play a big game with China through this, like Iran, Venezuela, Cuba. Maybe in the future it's Belarus or Russia, but Russia is very powerful. That's just a different story. But the maybe the Trump wants to control the energy supply chain for the Chinese, because Chinese is a superpower for the industry. So what's going on here?
Ed, continue. Don't worry. I have a 5 just taking care of it. Don't worry. I'm listening very much.
Okay. No problem. Let me adjust a little bit. Okay. So we know maybe the Trump is trying to play a game with China, especially in terms of the Chinese is a superpower of the production industry. Because the something fragile about China is energy. Russia is one source. We know Iran. We know Venezuela, and also Trump is trying to play the game with China, but he is not doing a very good job in the Middle East. But China, especially China, trying to push the Iranian to the table of the peace. We can see the Chinese government also want to play a game with Trump too. Okay, we help you in the Strait of Hormuz. We help you in the Middle East. How about help us in the Taiwan Strait?
Yeah. This is perfect.
The reason
so essentially, because there's an upcoming May meeting with President Donald Trump of the United States and President Xi of China, I think Mr. Trump is coming into China to meet with President Xi. So it sounds like that's the discussion. At least the top points on the agenda are those issues to resolve the Iran issue, as well as negotiate U.S.-China issues. I'm sure Taiwan is part of that as well.
Yeah, because some of the Chinese scholars have to mention this. Okay, we don't care about the tariff. We don't care about the farm production from the U.S. Okay, we can buy something. That's no problem. The main issue is we care about Taiwan. Some scholars in China has mentioned this. I do believe China will push the process of negotiate with Trump in terms of that Taiwan issue after his visit. So what happened in the Strait of Hormuz? If the Trump success in the military action and they get regime change in Iran, maybe the Trump will hold the cards, but he's not right now. Maybe he can create another cards, the tariff again, but the China have rare earth cards. Right. So the Trump now, we heard some people in Washington, D.C. said, okay, we have the rubber cards. We can try to control the import of the technology containing on Chinese robots. So I don't know, maybe before his visit, we can see some progress because Trump is changing rapidly. And, why I would want to mention Trump now is, this is something special, is if the Trump helped China to solve the Taiwan Strait issue, this is something has been long-standing about 80 years, 70 years. Okay, this is great honor for Trump, this historical achievement. This is something very Trump stuff. So maybe this is something making him happy. Okay, Chinese people can build a Trump Tower in Shanghai. That's no problem. Okay, but this is another story. Yeah.
No, I fully understand it. Now, one of the strongest parts, segueing from what we just talked about, in your piece, in your article, is that external observers often underweight the internal Chinese political mechanics. And there could be a transition that comes within the politics. I know President Xi was a bit unusual compared to past leaders as far as party and leadership of the country. You kind of talked about it a little bit. Can you give us a brief summary on the different potential impact on if there's a transition to a new leader? Could President Xi maintain some powers, even if it's in the background? And does that matter into this May meeting with President Trump, understanding who he's talking to, but also the greater impact of the Chinese political machine on what that means going forward? And for President Xi negotiating with Mr. Donald Trump, knowing that with the U.S. elections coming, the midterm elections coming up, as well as in 2028, they're looking forward. Are they really negotiating with the Donald Trump administration, or are they preparing for the next administration as well? So that tension, can you cover it a little bit for us?
Yes, no problem. I know, before the President Xi, he changed the constitution of the PRC, and he gets third terms. So some people curious about, okay, if he will get continue like the first terms as a president, and he holds the power until 2033 or 2037, even for that. So some people curious about this issue. This is some very hard research domains within Chinese politics. Is parties, institutionalization. Before the Xi changed the constitution, okay, maybe the party institutionalization, we cannot have the third terms. Every people just 2 terms like the U.S. president. This is first, and if you are the member of the political bureau, if you are 68 years old when the transition happened, you should be retired. And if you below 68, like the 67, you can continue another term. But this regulation has been, some of them has been broken, by in the 20th Party's Congress. She gets the third terms, and like if you want to be the prime minister of the China, you should have the central government work experiences. At least you should be the vice premier of China before. But now the Premier Li Qiang is before him become the prime minister of China, he was party secretary of the Shanghai and the party secretary of the Jiangsu province. So he's never working in the central government. So some regulation has been, we cannot say broken, but has been changed, because this is not constitution has been written on the paper. This is dark forest regulation. Every time when they have the party's power transition, but some people in they do have different faction under Xi. Before the Xi held absolute power, they do have different faction, like the Tuan faction is last Prime Minister Li Keqiang from the Tuan faction, and they have the Jiang faction is previous Chinese leader Jiang Zemin. They have the Jiang faction, but this factions was eliminated by President Xi. So. But we can see there are something new factions appear after Xi hold the power. Is this faction rely on Xi's power? This is sub faction. We can see sub faction of the Xi. All in all, they are the Xi's faction, but they are sub faction of the different Xi with different relations. Some has a relationship with his family. Some has a relationship with his work experiences. Some relationship is from his classmates during his study in Tsinghua University.
Yeah.
So we can say different factions work right now. They have some faction from Zhejiang province. Some of them in the Twitter now always claim that Li Qiang will be the next general secretary. Because if the Li Qiang become next general secretary in 2027, the Xi will keep the chair of the military commission. So it will solve some problems like economic issue, because we know Li Qiang doing very long time job in the economic side, because the prime minister is charging the economic. So this will help the China to solve some economic issues. So like what we can see right now, they do have some conflict, because like the like we know the Shenzhen, this city is very famous in the world too. The party secretary of the Shenzhen lack almost, they do not have the party secretary in the city almost for 7 to 8 months. Uh, the reason why, because these sub factions, they are battle in this position. Even Xi's family, Xi's mother live in Shenzhen, Xi's mother still live and live in Shenzhen. And so if you want to be the party secretary of the Shenzhen, you should be recognized by Xi's family members at least. This is first. The second, you should be recognized by the central organization department, the party central. And third, you should be recognized by the party secretary of the Guangdong province, because Shenzhen was charged by the Guangdong province. So it's hard to find a suitable, candidates. If you get a relationship with, okay, you have the relationship with Xi's family, but you don't get a relationship from Guangdong, that's not good choice. So you should be recognized by different sub factions. So we can see the story maybe. So let's back to the question. How about the 2027 transition? We don't know. If the Xi want to keep the military commission chair, I think it's good choice for him. Because if you want to keep your political legacy for a long time, like Deng Xiaoping, he is very smart. He is not stay on the position until his death.
Right.
He far away from the center of the power a little bit, but keep focus on the situation there, and to make sure his political legacy continue like his imagination. At least, Deng holds the power is about 1978, and before she absolutely hold the power is about 35 years to 40 years. His governance thought on China is work. But the Mao is not smart as that. After his death, the Cultural Revolution is ended, and his wife was arrested by the another leaders within CCP. So maybe if you keep a little, before your death, and you get a position to gradually retire and focus on the situation, it's a better way to keep your political influence within the party, especially your political legacy.
For the country, a better transition for the country to avoid increasing tensions internally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
because he holds the situation, he focuses on the situation, he can keep the stability. But if we get the power transition, what happened in the Mao death, after Mao death, will be some political tension, So I do believe the Xi is going to retire before he's getting old, but we don't know. When people getting old, they are becoming conservative.
yes.
This is the first. The second is he holds the power for a long while, and we do have some interest connection within the party. As I said, there are some people in Shenzhen, some people in different party secretary departments. So they have the interest connection. We cannot predict this, but what we should do right now is just observe. China is now I know some scholars has mentioned we have the Pekinology right now. What is Pekinology? Just observe the Chinese people. Some in the meeting, some of them are not in the meeting, to observe who is still safe. So so we don't know. We can just know this by some simple observation. Now she has his brother. He has a little brother, a younger brother, and two older sisters. and his wife. These people all have the capability to influence his decision-making process and the personnel issue or something like that. So, and we know the U.S. The Congress have a bill about the if the China invasion of Taiwan, we should publicate this people's asset or something like that. But we don't know. This is an international relations studies part. Okay.
Right. No, I understand it. And I think it's a worthwhile topic to ponder on. For myself, it's just how countries or sovereignties where there's been a long-term leader that eventually, with time has to transition. How that transition happens, how it's planned for, is very key, because the goal is to keep stability through that transition. And it's not just in China, in other countries in Asia, in countries in Africa, South America. There's countries where some leaders have been there for 20, 30, 40 years, and that's all the generations of young people have known. And so being able to think ahead in managing that transition so that there is a clear path of succession, clear path of conflict resolution internally before it goes out into the public, so other actors can take advantage of it, to make sure that that's in place, that's understood, because otherwise, just like a Mao, the transition can become very hectic and create internal tensions, and instability does not help anyone other than actors outside of your country. And so that's something I always focus on, and that's something I always advocate for when I speak to folks who are from those countries where there's a very long term leader. Is think through how the transition will happen to maintain stability and avoid further tensions and escalations.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I ever wrote a piece about this. Is she may in the CCP or CPC, they do have the path of a transition, like you become the president of the party school, central party school, and become the secretary to respond the commission's daily work, and you become standing committee members of the political bureau before you become the general secretary.
Yeah.
But the key issue is how the people work there. She's successor. Maybe he can choose one successor. Okay, but the main problem is if he holds a power like the Deng, during the Deng terms, there are two general secretary was abandoned by him. It was Zhao Ziyang and Hu Yaobang, and this two party general secretary was abandoned, was given up by him. If he holds the power similar to the Deng, he always the people who charging that. So the next general secretary, do not have the power to achieve what he wants to do in the future. But the main issue is if he gave up the power before, it's like if he get the power like the Mao model, he don't have the power and he died, and the successor who he chosen maybe will suffer from another political tension. His successor cannot be the next one who holds the power. This so this will be another tension within China. But we hope he gradually recovers institutionalization within this country, so it will get better. But it's hard to say because he abandoned the president's term limitation. This can be used by everyone. The next Chinese president could be the president forever too.
Yeah.
Like him.
Precedent has been set.
So we don't know. So, but what happened in China after Opium War is Chinese people trying to seek for the democracy, freedom, scientific, something like that. So maybe in the future we can see the party adjust it. So because we know the CCP is a Leninist party with very flexible. They will follow the trend of the world. Especially we know the AI. That they are doing very good job right now. So
I agree.
technology or something like that. So it's something flexible. So we don't know. We can see that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, I think we've gone deep in Taiwan as well as local political mechanics in China. Let's flip it around the other side on the Chinese leadership perspective. How does Beijing interpret the difference between as far as the U.S. is concerned, the difference between Congress, the White House, the Pentagon, and the political campaigns when they're negotiating with the United States? Are they worried that one institution will lean one way while the other institution goes the other way? So there's a bit of unpredictability on how they understand U.S. policy. So how do they negotiate, plan, and understand the different mechanics in U.S. politics?
Yeah, it's a very interesting topic because this is something won't happen during Biden administration. So we can see we
100%.
do have the whole page right now here. It's very interesting because we can see the deep state. We always said, okay, we have a deep state in Washington D.C. They do have the deep state. The someone before he elected as a president of the United States, he has his own foreign policy model. But after he elected as a president of the United States, he back to the U.S. foreign policy model. I think, how can I see that? Like the Trump, his decision on the war with Iran, somehow related to the influence by the Israel lobby and deep state. Absolutely. So the deep state is still there, and after Trump terms, I believe the deep state will back to dominate the U.S. foreign policy. This is something what will happen after 3 years. In 3 years, absolutely, I believe the deep state will back. But the relationship of Europe and United States is hard to recovery, like the Joe Biden terms, because the U.S. said, like the president of the France, Macron, ever said, okay, the NATO has brain gas. Okay, this is what's happening right now. So I believe so. First, I believe the deep state is still there, and deep state will back in 3 years. So based on this judgment, I believe the Trump, maybe the Chinese government, President Xi, is trying to make the deal in terms of the Taiwan issue with Trump. They will push for that.
I see.
And
Their last
Trump
opportunity, you think?
Yeah, and this is the first. The second is the Trump will face some blockade within the United States about this issue because some people, Taiwan, they do have Taiwan lobby. Absolutely, you know that in the Quincy Institute article they mentioned, okay, there are three major U.S. partners founded the think tank within Washington D.C. One is Israel, absolutely. The second is Saudi Arabia. As the third is Taiwan. So the Taiwan is trying to make we can say DPP lobby, because KMT lobby is not stronger than DPP. If you stay in DC, you will discover Taiwan, their party lobby will appear every like the CSIS seminar or something like that. So to talk with these guys there. So absolutely, the people within US will try to persuade Trump to, okay, don't make deal with China on Taiwan. So I do believe this is very depends on how much China can cost this for this deal in terms of the deal with Taiwan deal. How much China would cost on this. So if this Trump very happy about that, maybe okay. The Trump said we have very special relationship with President Xi. Okay, President Xi helped me in the Strait of the Hormuz. Let's make this deal.
Major,
Uh,
really a big deal.
yeah. So, and also he will face some blockade, some from the Japan side, and somehow maybe South Korea. But I don't think South Korea care about this, to be honest. They don't want a war in the Taiwan Strait, because if the Taiwan Strait have the war, if US do not interpret it, that's fine. But if US try to military interpret it, I believe that China will fund North Korea to attack South Korea. That's what happened.
This is why the Iran issue is so timely and strategic on the Trump side. And so they're having conversations. The flow of oil has been disrupted for the whole world, at least 20% or so of it. And so if you look at the balance of powers right now, with this upcoming May meeting between Mr. Trump and Mr. Xi, is that Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, they're all suffering from this oil shock, especially Japan, because a significant portion of their oil comes from that region.
Absolutely.
And so those issues are linked. It's not very well discussed in the mainstream media, but I think that it's a point of leverage, both in the Trump administration side as well as in the Chinese side, to try to come to some kind of agreement with that shadow of interrupted oil flow still lurking. And so what do you think about that perspective?
I think the energy issue is in the Trump imagination, he can push these allies in the East Asia to purchase more American oil instead of from the Middle East, and also from the blockades to Iran. And after his visit, maybe he will encourage the Chinese government to buy more American oil too. Yeah. This is what will happen in just a few months. So I do believe these countries they will keep silence on Taiwan Strait issue recent years. Absolutely. They don't want China to going to have the war. They don't want Taiwan to make independence train to have the war or something like that. I think these countries, especially after Prime Minister Takaichi's rhetoric, he is not. She's rhetoric was not welcomed by the American and China, and maybe she wins the election through this because we have the nationalism. Wins in Japan, to win the election. This is the only advantages she got from her rhetoric. But I believe recent days you can see she's keep silence on this issue.
That's a very
the low key, and the president Lee Jae-myung of the South Korea also do that. So I believe these countries will keep silence. Even the Philippines, recent days you can see the Philippines. Maybe they have a small conflict in South China Sea with China. But that's not a big thing. That's not a big one. So I believe most of them will keep silence about that. Yeah.
Very interesting. Very, very interesting. Now let's go back and let's go to the human and civilization layer of this conversation. What role does patience play in statecraft today on either side of all those issues we just discussed? How much does patience play in statecraft and planning ahead?
You mean the policy making?
Yes, for the leaders, exercising patience more than impatience. How does that play in advancing their issues? So if you're President Xi or President Trump, are you trying to hasten some of the important issues that you place high on your list, or you want to build patience into it for the future on how these developments take place? I guess what I'm trying to say is, are these both leaders pushing to get a resolution both on Iran and Taiwan in the short term, or is there patience built in to provide more stability for the world?
Yeah, I do believe there is a book about how states think the rationality is written by J.MAH and his student Rosado in the university. J.MAH, he ever wrote a book is how states think the rationality. In this book, he said there is very important conclusion that the country in the international stage make the rational decision based on two principles. The first is credible series of international relations. The second is sophisticated decision-making process. So what you said to us is a sophisticated decision-making process. I believe the President Xi he want to achieve the reunification within his terms before he leave the stage, and this make him within the party get the statue, and for this goals he can give up something else. But we know recent days the Trump's behavior make the another possibility. The China can achieve the national rejuvenation, then achieve the unification. So we don't know how your policy continue developing in the future.
Right.
It's hard to calculate the final goals and what happened in the future. Like the Iran war, I believe the Trump will receive the information from his cabinet member. Okay, we can win this war easily, like what we did in Venezuela. After kill the supreme leader, the country's people will stand up and fight with this regime, and we get regime change, and we get closer allies in the Middle East. It's hard to calculate, but I believe China is trying to push the reunification process within President Xi's terms. This is absolutely the issue is with the United States. The issues with the United States Congress, the deep state absolutely reject this. They will sell more weapons to Taiwan, provide more weapons to Taiwan, and develop the official relationship with Taiwan, and encourage Taiwan to doing something China doesn't happy about that. Mm-hmm. So we can see two sides. So I think this is largely depends on the U.S. because I believe if the China accept the military reunification, if the China want to achieve the peaceful reunification, they have to settle the United States. United States must agree and push this and try to influence Taiwan, because we know U.S. must have very great influence within Taiwan. Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If historians study this decades from now, or this decade that we're living in, what will they say most about what people misunderstood in real time? What are the most common misunderstandings of the issues we've talked about that the mainstream media or just the general public have about the gravity of the situation we're in?
Yeah, because most of people, especially from the liberalism side, they all believe this Taiwan Strait issue is autocracy and democracy. This is first. The second is about some people who say this is the same logic like the Uyghurs and Tibet is Taiwan issue is similar to the Hong Kong Tibet Uyghur issue is the nation's self-determination issue. The Taiwan want to independence. They don't want unification with you. This is what we heard recent years. Always, Taiwan. These people doesn't want to reunify with you. And the CCP will see some people say, okay, before the civil war of the United States, the southern people doesn't want to reunify with the northern too. But the President Lincoln chose to bring them back. This is what the Chinese side said to this audience. So the general public will think, okay, this is the first autocracy with the autocracy democracy. The second is a nation's self-determination. The people who care about that will think this is something related to this. People in Washington, D.C., people in high-tech region, okay, this is very serious competition. We know like the Apple, the M-series chip, the A-series chip, all from the Taiwan, the NVIDIA from TSMC, their chip, the GPU. So it should be keep the peace. Absolutely. So how to say that? I do believe the people care about this should, if they want to know this better, they should know the whole picture of this matter.
Yes.
It's not just one angle, but if just, sometimes we will care about it. I'm thinking about this recently is the U.S. policy is important. How like from the first day the Trump launched the war to Iranian, there are almost 60% American people don't support this. There are from many polls about this. But maybe if there is a day there is a conflict between Taiwan and China, how many American people who support U.S. Have the mental reaction there? This is first. Second is something we should consider is these countries or states or regimes nearby the high risky region like Taiwan, like Ukraine, like Finland, like this democracy states. If these countries or states or regions poorly and their people's mind mattered to American foreign policy, because some of these people's mind will make U.S. trap into the war, absolutely. So I think the deep state should reconsider about this, not totally guided by the ideology like this self-determination or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. Well, Mr. Zhou, this has been one of the most thoughtful conversation I've had on this topic and this subject. So I want to say thank you for helping us replace slogans with structure.
My honor.
And as things develop, I'd love to have more conversations because you have a great understanding and a balancing approach to the issues that's often polarized on one side or the other. So outstanding. Thank you so much for being here.
It's my pleasure.
And for the audience, I'm going to give them your bio one last time. You received an MA from the University of Chicago's Committee on International Relations, an MA in Asian Studies from the George Washington University, and your research focuses on contemporary Chinese politics and governance, Taiwan Strait issue, and of course, U.S. foreign policy. Cheers. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much. You too.
All right.